I'm back reviewing my favorite Imperial of all, the TIE Fighter pilot. The TIE Fighter pilot has an interesting history. To start out with, they didn't even have one in 1977. If you look at the old box, they actually put a stormtrooper in the TIE Fighter. They show you a demonstration on how to do that. Like, you need a demonstration to do that, but anyway. They didn't come out with one until 1980, when The Empire Strikes Back came out. They came out with their first TIE Fighter pilot, Kenner did, and he had gray boots, gray gloves, and he was very bulky, but, at least they were getting more variety for Imperials. When Hasbro bought out Kenner, they pretty much redid that mold. They made his outfit all black, his gloves and his boots black, and they had him in the Power of the Force. I think there was a slight improvement in Power of the Force 2. But we're looking at the best TIE Fighter pilot made today. The OTC TIE Fighter pilot. That's the Original Trilogy Collection TIE Fighter pilot. I've got him here. I'm going to read you the back of it. Here's the back. Read you what it says. TIE Fighter pilots are part of the evil Empire's combat forces. These dedicated warriors fly into battle against the heroic rebels. Completely loyal to the Emperor, they are trained to ignore their personal safety for the sake of their mission. As the rebel pilots attempt to destroy the Death Star, the TIE pilots battle to save the Empire's deadly weapon. And, of course, Grand Moff Tarkin and his brilliance, according to all the technical manuals on the Death Star, has 7,000 TIE fighters on board the Death Star. He releases 12. Anyway, one of them is Vader. They almost win. Anyway, the OTC TIE Fighter pilot is by far my favorite character. I have two of them here, as you see. They're not quite both OTC. One is an OTC, the one on the stand. The other one is a repack of the OTC from the 30th anniversary larger scale wing TIE Fighter I did a review of earlier, so I just thought I'd show you both variants. The differences are only that one comes with a stand. The OTC TIE Fighter pilot does come with a stand. It says Star Wars on it. Doesn't say what plot or film or anything. The other one doesn't come with a stand, and he has his gun tied on him. I'll go through the articulation on him. Forget it. Alright, the articulation. His head really doesn't move at all. He has these hoses on his head. His waist doesn't move either. He has swivel shoulders, swivel arms, right here. His wrists turn, bendable at the waist, bendable at the knees, and without articulation to his ankles. That said, I still rate him very highly because basically his main job is to get into a vehicle. He's not made to be really articulate, and his joints are really stiff and tight. I like that, so you can take him in and out of the vehicle, and he still keeps a good attention span. I mean, the older TIE Fighter pilots, I have a Power of the Force one, and they age and their legs get looser and looser. Try to stand them up again, and they get bad. They've improved this design a lot. I really like him. Also, they've improved the mask. The old TIE Fighter pilot was based off of a Stormtrooper. You could somewhat turn his head, but you could tell the mold was the same as a Stormtrooper. They've improved this mold, made it look more movie-like. He's got, of course, Imperial symbols on his helmet, Imperial symbols on each of his shoulders. He's got no holster for his gun. He does have an E11 blaster rifle, though. He fits in all the TIE fighters. He's a little loose in Vader's TIE fighter. Well, I should say the TIE Advanced X1. But he still fits. He also fits in the Imperial shuttle. He's basically made as a sit-down character. I've got several variants, the older variants of the TIE Fighter pilot. They've made the buttons on his control bigger with this one, slightly bigger. The older ones, I'm actually going to do a review with all the TIE Fighter pilots together. I have an evolution of them. These buttons are kind of big. They've attempted to redo the TIE Fighter pilot recently. They did the Imperial Pilot's Evolution Pack with Biggs Darklighter, as well as the Target-exclusive larger wing TIE Fighter that the Rebel Steel has Rebel symbols on it. I don't really consider that a TIE Fighter pilot. At first, when I bought it, I thought they were similar to this, but the helmet has no visor. I mean, it has a visor. It doesn't have these eyes. It doesn't have the helmet like you see in the movie. And they really do a bad job. The body is very much like this. They also do a Baron Fell, who's too big to fit into a TIE Fighter, but his helmet's right. What they could have done, they could have taken the Biggs and the who's the one, Hobby, and they could have given him a Baron Fell style helmet. they would have worked fine then, but they kind of messed up. So I really consider this the last TIE fighter pilot made. He was made, what was it, 04? He was made in 2004. Even though there's others out, I consider him and the 181st TIE fighter pilot, which was released in the 30th, and the largest wing TIE fighter that was also released on the 30th, both were Toys R Us exclusives, is the only real TIE fighter pilots. I'm kind of a purist about this, because he's my favorite Imperial. Even though he's not as articulate as some other figures, I give it an 8.5. I think his body would be less rigid, and if he were more articulate, so it's somewhat of a trade-off. An 8.5 overall, and these things have become really expensive on eBay. I'll buy it now. The cheapest I've seen on eBay is $10 with $4 shipping, and they go up to over 20. Don't overpay on this. Wait for a good auction to come up if you want one. Wait for a good auction. Don't pay into greedy eBay sellers out there. But this is a really rare pilot, and on the 30th anniversary in the Legacy Collection TIE Fighters, if you notice, I did do the Legacy Collection TIE Fighter earlier as a review, and they show in the box of both of those putting a TIE Fighter pilot into the cockpit. So, but they haven't released it since the OTC collection. So Hasbro, they desperately need to bring out this guy again. I'm hoping they do. I'm hoping for people's sake who just, want some kind of diorama that's correct with the TIE Fighter pilot and everything. Another thing worth mentioning is I was a big fan of TIE Fighter, the video game in the 90s, and X-Wing versus TIE Fighter. And if you know the story, Marek Steele is the TIE Fighter pilot. He's the main character from that game. I would also heavily encourage Hasbro, I don't know if they will or not, to come out with a comic pack with Marek Steele in it. Maybe repackage this guy as Marek Steele. That would be awesome. But I don't know if they will. Well, this guy gets an 8.5, and that concludes my review. Long live the Empire. Thank you for watching.